So I was able to, lose 60 pounds in 3 months.
Wow, 60 pounds in 3 months is insane.
I was 17, and that was when I was at my heaviest, over
Mm,
200 pounds. And that's when I found out that I had PCOS. My periods
yeah.
last no longer than 3 days. I don't have any heavy bleeding. There's even times where I don't even know what's coming. I think every woman deserves to feel this way, not have any cramps, no PMS. When I got tested, I think I was like 16, I had high estrogen. And like when estrogen is high, like, that also causes more of like that weight gain.
When I was researching it, I found that they have artificial estrogen in like everything. We all deal with estrogen dominance, which is insane.
There was times that I would order out DoorDash 3 meals a day on DoorDash, to the point where I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, something has to change.
Hi, I'm Chris James. You're watching The Healthy Alternative, and today we have a very special guest. Zara is with us, and we're going to be talking a little bit about her health and wellness journey, what she was able to accomplish, overcome. You guys are definitely going to want to hear her story, so stay tuned. That's coming up next. All right, Zara, thank you for joining me.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. I came across your story randomly. I think it was on Instagram. Maybe you had done an interview with somebody else, and I don't think I watched the entire interview because I like to like get to know people in real time. But I watched enough of the interview where I was like, "Ooh, I got to have her on the show
Yes.
because your story is going to resonate with my audience very, very deeply." So, um, let's get into a little bit of your background and what it is that you actually did accomplish. My goal here is just to let my audience know what is it that we're going to be unpacking today. So, what were some of the highlights of your wellness journey?
Yeah, I think the main highlight for me was that, first of all, I started off like overweight. So I was able to, lose 60 pounds in 3 months, like going on my holistic journey. And then also being able to like heal PCOS, heal my hormonal imbalance. So that was the main accomplishment for me. And also helping like, my family as well, like helping my mom, going over her health journey. So those are the main accomplishments that I have had with this journey.
Wow. 60 pounds in 3 months is insane. So, we definitely got to figure out how you did that.
Yep.
Um, PCOS was one of the things that I really drew me into your story because um, when I was developing my brand and just, figuring out who my audience was, I learned that PCOS, as well as fibroids and endometriosis and all these types of things, they were impacting our community at a much higher rate. And I didn't really understand why, especially at the time. And we've had the opportunity to bring on several women who have, dealt with those issues and overcome them in different ways. But you mentioned earlier that you lost quite a bit of weight. Were you always overweight as a child, or did this kind of develop later on in life?
My weight as a child has always fluctuated. So, like, I've always been like slim and then big and then small and then big. So, I've always struggled with my weight like throughout the years. And I think it got worse in high school. And that's when I found out that I had PCOS. So, like, ever since I would say about like 12 to like 17 was like my biggest years. And that was when the weight was just not budging. And that was when I reached my
Mm.
peak. And that was when I was the heaviest that I've ever pretty much been in my life, and I was really struggling during those areas, and my weight has always kinda just been like, it's never been stable, so I've always been, like, big, small, and that's kind of been, what I have, like, been going through, yeah.
Okay. Now, when you're saying that your weight is kind of fluctuating, were you adjusting your dietary habits? Were you exercising? Were you doing something to lose the weight, or was your body just kind of fluctuating, you know?
Yeah, my body was, like, just fluctuating, so I did gymnastics when I was, about, like, 8 until 12, and then I stopped, but even during that time, my body was still up and down, and my diet, I was eating, like, the standard diet, like, I was having, like, processed food, McDonald's, like, whatever my parents would buy me, like, fries, all that stuff, so I was eating pretty much the standard American diet, not eating the healthiest. I've always been into, like, waffles, like, I was a really big breakfast person, so I never had any, like, fruits or vegetables, like, mainly just processed food, fruit snacks, like, that was pretty much my diet growing up.
Gotcha. Now, did you guys eat out a lot, or did your mom cook at all, or
It was a mixture of both, like, we would eat out quite a bit, like, we would go to this place, like, the Chinese restaurant called Mandarin, we'd always eat out there, so a lot of takeout, and then there'd be times where we would have home-cooked meals, but it would be a lot of, like, pasta, starches, rice, potatoes, like because, like, my background's Jamaican, so we would have a lot of, like, rice and peas, a lot of those heavy starches. Also, I used to eat a lot of meat as well, so I'd have, like, curd chicken, all these, like, jerk chicken, all that stuff like that, so my diet was pretty heavy starch, a lot of meats, a lot of, like, processed foods, so yeah, just a mixture of all that.
gotcha? Yeah, that one thing that I'm really grateful to my mom. She cooked like every night.
Yeah.
When you when you're younger, you hate it because you want to eat out, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it just ended up being one of the best things for us. We did eat out. We did a lot of traveling, but my mom, if we were home, she cooked, and it kind of instilled that in me as well. Like, I did a lot more home cooking when I got out of the house versus eating out.
Mhm.
Um, so when you kind of got to your peak, or actually just fluctuating with your weight, through those high school years, that had to be like emotionally traumatizing. What was that like for you, as far as dealing with your weight? And I don't know if there was, I don't know what the culture's like out there, but here, people when they're overweight, I mean, it's not fun at school.
Yeah. Confidence was a big thing, especially mainly when I was younger. I was always, like, the bigger girl because 'cause I'm also tall as well. So, like, being overweight and tall, like, you're just big in both areas. So, for
Mm,
me, it was a lot of bullying. And it really was shot on, like, my confidence because, back in the day, being skinny was in and, like, being fit, being a size 0, like, that was the beauty standard. So, like, it took a toll confidence-wise. Also, when it comes to how I feel inside, like, I never felt beautiful and, like, certain clothes as well, like, because I like, wearing clothes, I like wearing dresses, I like expressing myself in that way. So I felt like when I was younger, it was harder for me to do so and feel good in my body, so that caused a lot of, like, emotional turmoil, depression as well, anxiety about how I show up and how I look, and also how I present myself in beauty-wise, like, I never felt, um, confident in that area, and I think that took a toll on me, especially at a very young age. It really destroyed my confidence and how I showed up, for sure.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's rough. Children can be extremely harsh, and I think a lot of times we don't understand the type of damage we're doing to each other. We think it's just surface level. You making fun of somebody, it's just a momentary thing. But for the people that are being made fun of, it like literally can last a lifetime.
Mhm.
I definitely had my fair share of like jokes. People, I was tall, I was really lanky, so I was tall and skinny. My mom didn't really buy us what we called gear back in the day. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't have name brand clothes, and so I got we used to call it capping. I got capped on a lot. And it actually caused me to learn how to speak better, because you got to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of take it and turn it and kind of maybe get the silver lining out of it. But having to repair your confidence and stuff like that, especially in your early adult age, I mean, that's very challenging. What As you kind of reflect back on your history, what do you think caused you to kind of have these issues with your weight and the hormones and the PCOS? Do you have you pinpointed?
I do believe it is what I was eating in diet, also as well, like, because as women, the main thing for us is, like, our hormones. So, when we're eating a lot of, like, processed food or food that's even, like, high in estrogen, because also, like, the chicken and stuff and, like, the soy and the seasoning, like, that took a toll on my estrogen. Like, when I got tested, I think I was, like, 16, I had high estrogen, and, like, when estrogen is high, like, that also causes more of, like, that weight gain, so I believe it was, like, that the hormonal imbalance, the diet mixed with, like, the lifestyle, um, my body was super, super inflamed and super acidic, and I think that was, like, that foundation of what really caused, like, the PCOS and also some, like, the health issues and the weight gain over time, especially, like, around my midsection was always, like, my biggest, so I do believe it
Mm,
was, like, poor gut, poor, like hormone balance and all that stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Estrogen dominance is a major issue, not just with women, but with men as well, which I think a lot of men are completely oblivious because they don't consider that they would have estrogen dominance.
Yeah.
But when I was researching it, I found that they have artificial estrogen in like everything. So we all deal with estrogen dominance, which is insane.
Yeah.
Now, as it relates to maybe like more of your family history, does your does is there anybody in your family that deals with weight, PCOS, or anything of that nature?
The main thing in my family is actually diabetes.
Mm,
And there is a point where, my insulin was I was almost getting, like, pre-diabetic at a very young age because I loved like, my favorite thing that I would love is I would love syrup, I would love waffles, so I would drown my waffles with syrup. I would have so much, like, brown like, sugars, Kool-Aids,
mm,
all that, things like that, and that was messing with my insulin, and I realized, like, diabetes runs in my family, like, even, like, my uncle recently, is still having issues with diabetes, so that's one of the things that is, like, that runs in my family that I have to kinda be cautious of even to this day.
gotcha. It's crazy because there's really like no education. I mean, I'll say for us in the states, there's no education on eating too much processed sugars. Like it's just zero. Um, Maybe even encouraging basically because when you in school, like for us when we go to school early, let's say if we're like maybe 40 minutes early to school, you can eat breakfast, and all of the breakfast foods, they're all processed foods, they're all refined sugars. You could get an apple or an orange or something like that, but all of the main dishes were like cereal and, like you said, pancakes with a lot of syrup and waffles. And so the culture does seems to push us towards that. And then also like I've noticed that human beings naturally are drawn to sugar. You
Okay.
know, like if you ever taste a mother's the breast milk, the breast milk is sweet.
Yeah.
And so I think we're naturally drawn to sugar, and so companies are like, okay, human beings have this affinity for sugar, so let's just put sugar in everything.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
one of the things I notice here is like they'll put it in our bread, they'll put it in our pasta. They even put sugar and salt. Like they
Mm.
put sugar in everything.
Oh, wow.
Um, I know Canada's a little different. They're you guys are a little better, but what is it like out there?
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of things like, when I go to America, I look at the ingredients, I'm like, "Wow," like, there's so many things I cannot pronounce, and the fact that you mentioned, like, sugar in the salt is crazy, but over here, there's still certain things that you have to look out for, like, of course, there's a lot of ingredients that you still have to watch for. I know, like, when it comes to our ketchup, like, we don't like, it's pretty straightforward, like, it has tomato paste, a little bit of sugar, but, the main thing that we still have is, like, the Fruit Loops, the red dyes, like, we have some of that, but for the
Mhm.
most part, our food is a bit better, but it's still like, if you're still eating, like, the processed food, you kinda wanna watch it because we still have certain preservatives in there too. So there's certain things
Gotcha.
that are banned in here, but it's not like Europe where it's, like, it's pretty clean, but it's slightly clean, so I try to stay away from a lot of processed foods. I know they still have some of those red dyes in there.
Yeah, I think we recently, I think maybe red dye is banned. I think it's just the red dye because like all the
Oh,
dyes are bad,
yeah,
you know. But they talk about the red dye being kind of like the worst. So I think we finally got that banned, which is everybody was super excited. But it's like this is literally the tip of the iceberg.
yeah.
Um, how tall are you, by the way, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'm 5'8", so
Okay,
just yeah.
okay. So when you decided, because you had mentioned earlier that your weight kind of just fluctuated naturally. So when did you decide that you needed to do something about it? Was there like a pivotal moment?
Yeah, I think that pivotal moment was when my grandma actually passed, because she passed from cancer, and that was I was 17 years old, that's what I remember. I was 17, and that was when I was at my extreme heaviest, so I was over 200
Mm,
pounds, and, that's when the PCOS was getting out of hand. I started developing, like, was really bad. I had, like, chin hairs. I was getting a lot of those symptoms of the PCOS. And I remember looking in the mirror, not even recognizing myself, and I'm just like, "Who is this woman?" I was extremely
Mm.
depressed, um, extremely, like, unmotivated. I wasn't moving I wasn't going to the gym, I wasn't actively trying to change, and I was just stuffing my face with food, all this processed food. Like, there was times that I would order out DoorDash, like, every single day. Like, I would be ordering 3 meals a day on DoorDash. Like, it was really, really bad, to the point where I looked at myself in the mirror, I said, "Something has to change because I'm, number 1, the heaviest I've ever been, I'm the most depressed I've ever been, and I'm not making any changes towards my health." And that was when I realized, like, if I don't change this, something is going to happen where I'm going to end up in the hospital or end up possibly, like, losing my life because of the health issues that I have. So that was, like, that
Yeah.
tipping point for me, yeah.
Man, it's so sad that, I it always seems that we have to see something almost tragic happen, or we have to have something tragic happen to us in order to like make that change. Because my uncle, who was maybe like 47 at the time, 48 at the time, he had got diagnosed with cancer. And like it was crazy because he had a different story. He was athletic. He did
Yeah.
marathons. He used to bowl all the time. He was always active. He worked a lot, so he's always moving, and you just never saw it coming. And so
Mm.
for me, seeing that happen to my uncle, I literally thought, I was like, there's nothing I can do. I was like, I no matter what you do, no matter how healthy you are, like this can always just kind of get you. And that's kind of like what started when I started researching the body. That's where I started. I was like, is there a way to avoid getting cancer? Because I saw somebody who was healthy. We always thinking about the people that are like overweight or just really ill or whatever, but it was like everybody's getting cancer. Everyone's getting sick.
Yeah.
Um, so how did you begin that process of kind of unraveling everything, when you decided, hey, I got to stop using food as a coping mechanism, or I got to get out of this depression? Like, where did you start?
Yeah, so actually before my grandma had passed, she gave me this book. It's called Healthy Foods. I don't remember the author, but I remember she gave that to me and she's like, read this book. Like, this is something that, could help you. And I remember at first I'm like, whatever. So I threw it in my closet and forgot about it. And then that day, like, where I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I don't recognize myself. Of course I was like, I bust out crying. I'm like, I need to change this. And then something told me, go in your closet and look for that book. So
Mm,
after I had that little crying session, I'm like, I need to change this. I went into my closet, I looked for that book, and I started reading it. And it's a really good book because it has every single disease. It tells you what to eat, what not to eat. It gives you healthy food alternatives. So it's like a holistic healing book. So I was like, okay, let me look to see like what I can do. So I seen weight loss, I seen PCOS. So I started reading the book and I started implementing the foods that they were telling me to eat. So they're saying like, no processed foods, do more plant-based. So that's what transitioned me into going plant-based, because I'm like, "Let me see what this is all about." Like, I have nothing to really lose. So
mm.
that started my journey, and within a week, I'm like, "I feel a lot better." And then within
Wow.
that week, I felt better, more energized, my mindset was clearer, so I'm like, "Let me continue doing plant-based." So I continued doing plant-based, I continued, reading the book, and I'm like, "This really works." So I started really studying the book because there's different, like, diseases and different, like, foods that you can eat. So I started studying, and I started implementing, the foods that they have, and I started also using that to help my mom as well, because she'd always say, like, I have, like, pain in my joints, or I have issues with, like, I get sore a lot because 'cause she'd work out a lot. So I'd say like, "Here, try this," and it started to work. So that got me hooked on studying holistic health, and I started really diving in, doing a lot of research, and that's how I found out Dr. Sebi, and then I was like, "Oh, like, this is, like, legit." So I started studying him as well. And then that prompted me to wanna go travel to learn more. So I actually went to Colombia to study herbalism, and that was where it all kinda clicked, and I was like, "This stuff really works, and this is, like, what really can change a lot of lives." And I think that's was, like, that process for me.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
My grandmother gave me a book too.
Oh,
It's actually,
yeah.
yeah, like it's a big part of my journey.
Yeah.
I got really sick one time, and I pulled out this book for the first time, and it literally, like you said, it has everything in it. Um, what were can you like talk specifically about like what were some of the foods that you were eating?
Yeah, so for the PCOS, because that was the main thing I was trying to heal, they said high berries. So do a lot of like blueberries, blackberries, and a lot of like pumpkin seeds. So I was doing a lot of like seed cycling. So I did pumpkin seeds. I started off with sunflower, some chia, and also flax seeds as well. So I was doing that with my berries. And then I was doing high plant based. So I was doing a lot of sweet potatoes. I was doing a lot of like quinoa. I also was doing a lot of like buckwheat, which I don't agree with that now, but, it did help during the time, but I was doing a lot of that, and I think that was, like, really helpful, especially the berries. Like, even now for this day, I preach about berries for hormones, especially for PCOS for women, like, that was like, that gem for me was the
Mm,
berries.
gotcha. And then, I mean, you said just within a week you started noticing differences. Can you highlight some of the things that you noticed?
Yeah, within the first week, I think the main thing was energy. Like, I had a lot like, I would get out of bed and I wouldn't be tired, and that was a new thing for me, like, I would never experience me getting out of bed and having energy. Also, another thing that shook me was my face, like, my face was more clear, it was brighter, and I've never experienced that. I was always like an acne prone girl, so that was something that was new to me. Also, the weight, like I noticed within the week, I'm like, okay, my waist is slimming down. I'm less inflamed, I'm less bloated, and also my bowel movements. Like I would go days without having bowel movements, and now I'm having like one bowel movement a day, which was shocking for me. So
Mm.
I'm having bowel movements now. My skin's clearing up. I have energy. Like this is, I feel like I'm on cloud nine. Like this is something I've never experienced before, and
Yeah.
it did feel scary, not gonna lie, but it was like because it was so quick, and it made
Mm.
me realize, wow, your diet, because what you eat, what you consume is literally it makes or breaks you. That's was the main takeaway.
Wow. I mean, it's really helpful. Like it's crazy. Your story is crazy because
Yeah.
like your grandma gives you this book. Most people like they really don't. I feel like, well, in America I'll say, like, we don't really honor our elders, and we don't really pay attention to them as much as we should. And so you actually got the book, you read the book, and you started implementing. Like, I don't know if you realize how special that is, because people get information. um Everybody has problems, right? And people will be asking and praying for solutions, and most of the time the solution is right there in their face. But what happens is when the solution is not packaged the way that people want, they'll ignore it, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's really a highlight to me personally that you got the information and you started implementing, and then like within a week. And that's like the beauty of it, the body responds so quickly when you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
So when you very first started, were you tracking your weight? Were you just kind of like you change your diet and you're just kind of seeing how things are going?
I was mainly seeing how things were going, because I don't know, it felt almost like I would say it almost felt like it was like a nudge from God. I'm like, "Let me just see how this goes." So I didn't track anything, so I don't know how much I lost in that first week, but I was just like, "Let me see where this leads me to." Like, I have a thought in my mind, let me execute it to see what this like, where this can go. I was kinda going with
Oh,
the flow, kinda dancing through it, and,
right.
I didn't take it seriously until I'm like, "Whoa." Like, I looked in the mirror, I'm like, "Okay, like, I'm losing weight, I feel good, let's continue this because there's something here." Like, there's definitely
Hmm.
something here, and I think that's what kept me kind of going and kept me consistent and kept me driven throughout that whole process, yeah.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that you came across Dr. Sabi, which yeah, it's funny because
Yeah.
I did too. Dr. Sabi is like he's a milestone in a lot of people's wellness
And
journey. What was it that drew you to Dr. Sabi? And did you implement any of his teachings?
yes, it was the alkaline diet that drew me in. And I'm like, okay, let's, because I was doing, plant-based, but it wasn't alkaline. So I learned, like, different foods had different pHs, and when it reacts with your gut, like, it's has a healing effect. So I'm like, let me try this." So this was, like, my next step. And this is where I started tracking my weight loss here. So I did a lot of like the alkaline diet. So I was doing a lot of like raw plus like alkaline and cooked. And that was where I noticed, okay, I'm losing the weight. And throughout that process, that's where I was able to lose like the 60 pounds as well, like in the 3 months. So that was where I kind of stumbled on him. And also with the herbs as well, like with the nettle, the burdock, because I realized that cleansing the body also you need herbs. So I think that was my next level, and that's where I seen the most changes within my body. So I got to honor him for sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think Dr. Sebi was he's like a sledgehammer that just busts up a lot of the
Yeah.
fake information that we've been given, and it causes you to want to dig deeper, learn more, and build on his knowledge base, because he was able to accomplish a lot through his practice and his village. And I'm me too. Like, I'm definitely grateful for everything he did. So how into your process, when did you start using the herbs? Would you say how far in?
I would say, maybe a year in, I started to do the herbs. A year,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I think when I very first started, I did like Dr. Sabi had a small cleanse package,
Mhm.
and I really loved the small cleanse package
Yeah,
because it got your bowels moving, and it just got the mucus going, and like you knew you were getting healthy, like taking this this
yeah.
little kit. Out of curiosity, did you do any fasting with this?
Yes. So I did, well, I started I it was a 30-day fast. It was all fruits. So I did
Okay.
all, like, berries and astringent fruits, so, like, apples, oranges, things like that. I would eat them solid, and I would also, like, juice them, so I did that, and that was, like, breakfast, lunch, dinner for 30 days to really open up, like, the bowels, open up my pathways, so I did that alongside with some herbs, so I did, like, blood cleansing herbs as well. That was, like, that fasting process for me, and that's of course, where I seen the most amount of weight loss as well. But, yeah, I started off
Okay.
with that, and then, yeah, I started doing that, and then once I seen, the weight off, I started doing, like, more maintenance and a little bit more herbs too.
Okay. So when you had mentioned earlier that you had lost about 60 pounds in 2 months, right?
Yeah, 3
Or
months.
3 months, three
Yep.
months. So would you say did the that weight loss, did you kick it off with that 30-day? And how did you kind of follow it up? Was it just alkaline eating and the herbs, or did you do another fast?
So the process of the weight loss, so what I started off doing is that, well, first I did that transition to plant-based, and then that next level for me was the fasting. That
Okay.
was what really shedded the weight for me. So I did like the 30 days with the berries, astringent fruits. And then within that 30 days, I lost about like in like 20 pounds or 25 pounds, something like that. So I lost a pretty decent amount of weight. And
Yeah.
then after that, I'm like, okay, let's maintain this. And then that's when I transitioned to raw. So I did fully raw, and I was doing that for a year. And that's where like the weight was like,
Ah.
yeah. And that was like, so I was fully raw up until I think October 2024, I was fully raw. Now I do raw and a little bit of cooked because it's winter here, so, so I do raw and cooked. So, yeah, that when I went raw, that's where I seen, like, the most changes within my PCOS, my hormones, like, that's where I really seen the changes. Like, I don't have
Ah.
any painful periods anymore. My cysts are gone. I used to get chin hairs, those are gone. I used to get acne scars, those are gone. So I've seen the most changes when I went raw. 100%.
Okay. Okay. So you started off with some dietary changes up front. You saw the benefit of that. It kind of was like a spark plug. You got momentum going. You're like, let's dig in. The next big piece was the 30-day fast with the fruits and the berries. And then the next big piece was the raw eating.
Yeah.
So then if you had to kind of put a timeline on it from kind of start to finish, how long was it before you were able to like really be like, all of these issues with the PCOS are like gone?
Start to finish, I would say 9 months.
Okay.
9 months, yeah.
That sounds good. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what's crazy? Like you did it in 9 months, but I'm sure you could teach someone to do it even faster, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah, you've been through it. You've learned kind of the tricks and the hurdles and things of that nature. So basically, women who are dealing with this in well under a year, maybe even 6 months or so, could look to reverse PCOS. And like I know that when it comes to like the periods and stuff, like I've worked with a lot of women,
Yeah.
in my personal life, I've been around a lot of women. It's very common for women to have these cycles that run for 7 days or more, and for them to be very debilitating. What would you say is your favorite benefit that you've got from this lifestyle change? Like if you had to choose one, what would it be?
Like the periods. My periods
Yeah.
last no longer than 3 days. I don't have any heavy bleeding. There's even times where I don't even know what's coming. Like, I gotta
Mm.
double check sometimes, I don't know. I think that's the beauty of it. I think every woman deserves to feel this way, not have any cramps, no PMS, no tender breast, like, not feeling like they're about to die technically
Mm.
on their period. I think every woman deserves that, and it's a truly a blessing to feel this way because, like, I can't go back. I wouldn't wanna go back. Like, the way
Yeah.
I feel energized. I'm not tired. Like, I can still work. I can still interact with people. Like, this is something that I've never thought could be a reality. I didn't even know that this is normal.
Mm.
Because growing up, it's like, you're on your period, you're kind of on your deathbed. You need Tylenol, you need painkillers for a lot of women, and it's like, for you or for me to feel this way is something I never thought would be normal.
That's that is exactly what I wanted to hear. That's the story that everybody needs to hear.
Mhm.
Because here's the issue. I'm a man. I've never had a period and I never will, right?
Right.
So women don't always take this kind of advice from me as readily as I would like them to. So I need women to come on the platform and talk about this transformation. I'm like, I'll meet somebody and they're like, my period goes for 7 days or whatever. And I'm like, it's like, it's very difficult for me to be like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know? You're a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but exactly what you described is what I learned, that, the normal cycle is like 3 days. And really isn't supposed to have any heavy bleeding. It's actually, the bleeding should be minimal. Now, when we think about what the cycle is, it's a cleansing. This period of time, the body is cleansing. So I guess it would make sense logically that if you're more clean, you eat more clean, you have a healthy lifestyle, the body has less work to do when it cleanses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now that you went through this process, life is forever changed for you. Do you feel like, well, let me ask you this. At any point during this process, did you ever feel like things were like difficult? Did you come across hurdles and like did you ever want to quit or go back to your old habits?
100%. I think one of the things that I didn't realize that was really important was, like, opening up your pathways. I had no idea. Like, that was something that I had to research myself because, one of the hurdles that I had is that, um, I was getting a lot of breakouts. I was getting a lot of, detox symptoms, like, even my eczema was coming back, my nails were breaking off, I was experiencing a lot of, like, my hair falling out. I didn't
Mm.
realize that you have to open up your pathway. So one of the hurdles was like the detox symptoms of it. And this could happen with not having enough like education on how to detox the right way, but also how to open up those different pathways like the liver, the kidneys, like how to also, open up your lymphatic system. So that was a hiccup that I experienced. And I think that is why I talk a lot about like opening those up because it can feel not so good with having those symptoms as you can feel like, "Okay, I'm doing everything, but why am I experiencing the acne? Why am I experiencing the hair fall? Like, why is this happening to me?" So, I think talking about opening up pathways is really important to talk about, yeah.
Oh man, I'm so glad you brought that up. That we would have messed up if we didn't talk about the detox symptoms and the difficulty of doing this incorrectly.
Yeah.
Because like, and this is part of the benefit of working with somebody who's kind of already been down that pathway. Is, hey, there's a hurdle there, there's a pitfall there. um, the detox symptoms are can be very brutal. I mean, I guess you could basically say any sickness that you ever experience in life could potentially be a detox symptom.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned and experienced. I mean, you could have flu-like symptoms sometimes. And I think the danger of not understanding that is if you're doing something, let's say you go alkaline and then you start having flu-like symptoms, without the education, you're going to think you're making yourself sick, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's where a lot of slander comes in with, like, the vegan and alkaline diet. I think, like, that miseducation for sure.
Yeah. So I know you studied herbs and that very kudos to you. Like I really love that I mean you dove right into this. Are there some specific herbs that you recommend or specific therapies that you recommend to kind of help open up those elimination pathways?
Yes, my favorite herb I think the blood is really powerful because, of course, like, all the metabolic waste goes into the blood when you're detoxing, so I think the best, way to actually start opening up the pathways is with the blood, so I love, herbs like burdock root, sour sarsaparilla, even parsley is really good for opening up the blood and also opening up the kidneys. Another herb that I really love is, like, wormwood, that also helps with, like, the
Mm,
gut, and that also helps kickstart like a detoxification. It helps open up, the liver and the kidneys as well. So it works hand in hand. So I think those herbs are really powerful to start and to also open up pathways in a gentle way as well while you're eating alkaline, eating raw. I think those are my top.
yeah, those are very powerful herbs. Do you take them or do you recommend them like in a capsule, as a tea? How do you kind of take them?
I recommend teas because of like that water, because the water pushes things out the body. I think it's a lot better taking it that way because since you're detoxing, you're trying to flush the body. So I would say teas when it comes to like burdock root, wormwood, even if you're doing like sour sarsaparilla, yellow dock, I recommend doing them as a tea when you're detoxing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I noticed that people are really drawn to teas, and I think the reason, well, obviously, depending on what type of benefit you're trying to extract from the herb, um, you cold steep or you boil, or you could take it, by mouth as a capsule, or you could put it create a poultice. There's so many different ways that you can use herbs.
Yeah.
But I think, and this is just my own opinion, I think a lot of people put the herbs in capsules because of the taste,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, but I'm just curious, like for you personally, is there anything that you do to enhance the taste, or do you add other herbs or blends? Can you blend these herbs together and make teas, with multiple different herbs in there? Is there anything you do to enhance the taste?
When it comes to enhancing the taste, not really. I kind of take them straight like that. But yeah, I mix the blood herbs, like any herbs that have like similar, what's the word I'm looking for?
Properties
Properties,
or
yeah. Similar properties, I mix those together, and make like a little herbal blend, and I take that for more potency. So if I really want to
okay.
get the job done, I'll do that. Um, and yeah, like for the taste, I just honestly, I take it like that. I always tell, like, people that I work with, like, "Hey, just take it as is. I know it's probably a little bit bitter, but the bitter, the better." That's my saying. The bitter, the better, because that's how
Okay.
you know it's really working in the body, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, if someone is looking to like kind of get started, do you have a particular amount of time that you'll have them detox or open up the elimination pathways before they kind of like, kind of start doing the heavy lifting with either fasting or changing their diet?
Yeah, I usually do a 3 months. So I do a elimination diet with them. So if they're starting off with like, let's say they're eating like the standard American diet, they're doing the meats, the chicken, I do elimination. So I'm like, okay, first week, no meat. It's almost like moving up the food pyramid. So we do no
Right.
meat, no dairy, no grains, and then no, what do you call it? Like no fish until we reach up to fruits and vegetables. And once they're able to get on that, then I'm like, okay, let's start the heavy lifting. So that's usually like a 3 month process to really reset the body and kind of get the body used to the elimination and getting on high fruits and vegetables.
Okay. So you really have a nice gentle transition for people. Would you say that you find people are able to the way you do it is more sustainable for people?
Yeah, I like the elimination because it's more sustainable versus going cold turkey because the body still needs to get time to adjust itself because especially if you spent your whole life eating like processed food or eating like meats, eating rice, eating starches, your body's going to go into a shock. And that also might shock the adrenals too much, which we don't want to do
Mm.
that. So I think doing the elimination diet, it allows your body to adjust slowly, and then once we get up to, like, the fruits and vegetables and doing more raw, the body's like, "Okay, we've been doing this," so it allows the body to adjust.
Okay, so I would like to well, first of all, you know, I know that you coach and you teach and you help other people. Um how long have you been, helping other people?
I've been doing this for about a year and a half now.
Okay. Well, I mean, you seem extremely knowledgeable. Clearly, you've had some really good training and some good life experience. So, if people wanted to like reach out to you, work with you, or just get in touch with you, ask questions, how can they do that?
Yeah, my DMs are open. So I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is Kai the Goddess, and I'm always answering DMs. Like you guys can message me anything. My DMs are open. I'm also on TikTok as well. So you can also message me through there if you have any questions or you want to work one on one. I do have my detox open for the new year. So that's open as well for you guys.
Okay, great timing. I guess one last question I might have for you is as it relates to your personal dietary habits and lifestyle habits right now. I know you said that you were doing raw for a while. Now you're doing a little bit of cooked food. It's wintertime. What does the future look like for you as far as, maintenance and continuing to heal and improve your health?
So my future, usually what I do is every season. So in the spring, I always do a parasite cleanse. So I do heavy metal cleanse, I do a parasite. And then once I do that for about like 16 weeks, I go straight into raw for the summer. So I always do raw for like the spring and summertime. And then that's kind of like my foundation. So I do a lot of like raw meals. I do a lot of, like, my kale salads, my kelp noodles, so I get really creative with the raw. I love raw, I love doing it. So that's what I do for the spring and summer, and then once the fall hits again, I do another parasite cleanse, and then I kinda start adding in, like, squash, pumpkin, like, more boiled, more soup. So that's kind of, like, how I flow through different seasons.
Okay. I really appreciate you coming on. I personally love raw food, and I go through little seasons where I make raw food, but I don't do it consistently. Like I've never done it for an entire summer. But like I have a goal in my head that one day I'm pretty much gonna be majorly raw.
Yeah.
I just want somebody else to make the raw meals for me.
Right?
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, this has been incredible. I think that what you've done is outstanding, and I of course appreciate the fact that you help other people. It's just a very big thing for me that when we learn something, we have these amazing experiences to share, and then be willing to teach and uplift others. So thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for coming on and just sharing with us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it. I love it. Thank you.
All right, y'all, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.